Everything we've lived through the last few seasons. Every film session where the fixes felt obvious, but the solutions were hard to reach, just converged into one clean path the league didn't expect us to find. It isn't a billboard splash. It isn't reckless with the future. And it doesn't pretend we're one piece away from a parade. It simply targets the exact habit that has been costing us swing minutes and turns it into a strength that travels in May. And if you stay with me, I'll show you how the basketball lines up with our identity. How the money can be handled without burning tomorrow. How the locker room fits this without drama. How the West matchups tilt when you solve a specific problem at the point of attack. And how the next few quiet tells around the league will confirm whether this is just another noise cycle or the rare moment a smart team closes a gap with discipline. I'm holding the name because I want the picture to paint itself before the reveal. The same way a coach scripts the first 10 plays to teach the game plan before the defense feels the punch. Because what matters tonight is the shape of the move and what it does for our basketball soul, not the letters on a jersey swap. The Warriors we are right now play a grown-up brand of ball when we're at our best. The ball doesn't stick. Steph bends the floor like a magnet and turns defenders into bad geometry. Jimmy meets the biggest, meanest wing at the nail and steals the other team's comfort. Draymond keeps the offense breathing by turning any two on the ball into a 4-on-3 clinic. And the bench has started to sound like a unit again instead of a collection of auditions. That's the heartbeat. That's the reason the opener looked like a statement instead of a coincidence. And that's why the room talks like contenders when the cameras are gone. But you and I felt the slippage too. The same slippage we've been honest about on this channel. Those messy pockets in the second and third quarters when opponents span drag screens, flip angles, and hunt our guards for simple pull-ups at the free throw line. Those tiny droughts where our first action dies too soon, the ball stops breathing, and possessions limp to the horn with a contested three instead of a high-value look. Those moments when Steph has to take a tougher defensive assignment for longer than makes sense. Where Jimmy's touches tilt towards self-creation because the organizer isn't nudging the defense into mistakes. And where Dre spends one too many trips as a pressure valve instead of the surgeon we love. That's the habit that turns 6-point cushions into one-possession coin flips. That's the habit a smart front office can actually fix without pretending a blockbuster solves structure. And that is exactly why the lane I'm tracing matters. Because the archetype that heals those stretches is within reach if you operate like adults under the new apron rules. The profile is simple to say and hard to find. A guard with length and pride on defense, not just activity. A guard who chases over screens, arrives square at the catch, and contests without fouling. A guard who tags the roller with his body, not a lazy reach that gifts free throws. A guard who doesn't lose his feet when the screen angle changes late. A guard who lives at the nail on a fence, who punishes drop coverage with that calm 15-footer crowds hate, who keeps dribble alive long enough for the second side cuts to materialize, who understands that Steph's gravity isn't a suggestion, it's the engine of the entire possession. Most importantly, the right guard doesn't audition for touches. He removes empty possessions from the diet. He takes the easy read over sexy one, and he treats turnovers like a moral failure. You add that player, and our ecosystem breathes. Steph defends the calmer assignment early and detonates late with fresher legs. Jimmy's catches turn cleaner because the help is held in place by a real mid-range threat and a guard who lives in adult tempo. Dre gets to live in the thing he does better than anyone, catching on the short roll and slicing up a shell defense a beat before it's ready. The young wings and roll shooters, meanwhile, stop eating late clock junk and start getting passes in rhythm, which is the difference between fool's gold and impact. That's the basketball. Now the money, because cap sheets win or kill deals long before social media turns them into think pieces. In the current landscape, you do not add salary unless you send salary. You do not give multiple unprotected futures because a talk show dared you to. And you do not cut out your own identity in exchange for a dopamine hit. You build a responsible match-one veteran slot or a tidy combo that keeps your rotation honest, and you pair it with one meaningful first-rounder that has protection you can defend with a straight face, plus a swap that gives optionality without mortgaging your map. You draw a red line against two unprotecteds, and your best young piece going out in the same envelope, and you stick to it without apology. If the market is saying, you push. If it gets dumb, you walk. That's grown-up front office work, and that's championship discipline. Now, watch the rotation ripple, because this is where people who don't live in the film room miss the forest for the trees. You bring in the right guard, and your second units stop feeling like auditions. Steph sits for his normal breather, and the offense doesn't fall into puddles. Instead, it becomes a steady hum of elbow touches, slot cuts, and two-foot finishes, the kinds of possessions that aren't highlightable, but swing a Tuesday night in Denver and a Sunday matinee in Memphis. You close games with a three-creator lineup that doesn't sap spacing because of how we align. Steph one pass away keeps the defense honest even when the ball isn't in his hands. Jimmy toggles up a position to bully mismatches and attack tilted help. Dre plays quarterback with the floor spread. And the new guard becomes the pressure valve who punishes soft drop and turns blitzes into layups. Defensively, you give the toughest chase to the adult in the room. You let Steph work matchups you choose, and you take away the easy rhythm of guards who love to walk into that 8-15-foot comfort window. You also kill free points by erasing the cheap fouls that come when tired legs reach instead of slide. Against the West calendar, this isn't theory, it's a toolkit. Versus Denver, you make Jamal see two bodies early in the action without overhelping, which breaks their cadence and saves Steph's legs for closing time. Versus Minnesota, you puncture the wall by forcing their bigs to make navigational decisions instead of camping in a backpedal. Versus OKC, you answer youth with poise and drag their long athletes into decisions that feel boring but punish their gambles. Versus Dallas and Phoenix, you make stars defend deeper into the shot clock because your mid-range three refuses to be rushed. Versus Sacramento and Memphis, you steal the oxygen from their pace by making half-court possessions last longer than they want and by deleting the bad turnover that fuels a 6-0 run. This is why I'm talking about a lane, not a splash. And you can feel how the locker room would sound the next day, because this isn't a savior narrative. It's a partnership narrative. Steph's genius ages better with a partner who protects his legs without crowding his air. Jimmy's edge is sharper when an organizer keeps him fed with purposeful touches, instead of asking him to live as a point forward. Dre's superpower doubles when he shares the floor with a guard who reads the second-level defender with the same eyes. Culture isn't a paragraph we fake for style points here. It's whether a player walks in the chase and immediately speaks the language or spends 3 months learning it. I've taken my time earning the reveal tonight because names make noise and traits make wins. But you stayed with me, and you deserve the payoff told straight. The guard who checks these boxes, the one whose film has been playing on repeat in my head and in rooms that don't need microphones to feel important, is Dejounte Murray. Now let's talk about game, not brand, because the reason this works has nothing to do with hype and everything to do with boring, repeatable excellence. On defense, Murray is stubborn in the ways coaches love and opponents hate. He chases over his chest, not with risky swipes. He re-squares at the catch after a screen instead of dying on it. He contests from the hip with verticality and keeps his hands quiet, which flips whistle math on the margins. He tags the roller with physicality, so the pocket pass becomes a bad angle instead of a layup, and he recovers with patience, not panic. He doesn't hunt thief plays he didn't earn, which means you don't give up 4-on-3s you didn't need to. He rebounds his slot, he communicates early, and he lives in stance. On offense, Murray is a tempo surgeon. He takes what the possession gives without turning it into a monologue. He gets to the nail and hits the 15-footer soft when the big sags. Then the next trip he snakes the pick and roll and flips the angle, so the weak side tagger has to choose a sign. He keeps his dribble alive and scrambles long enough for Dre to hit the angle and for Jimmy to cut behind ball-watching defenders. He sees corner windows on time, which is everything in our building, because on time becomes in rhythm. And in rhythm is the difference between a shooter and a guesser. He also has the grown man habit of ending runs with simple shots, a skill that doesn't go viral but kills crowds on the road. Plug this in the Warriors basketball and watch the picture snap into focus. Early in the game, you put Steph on the calmer assignment so he can carve on the other end while Murray eats the toughest chase. When lineups get sticky in the second, you run dribble handoff sequences with Dre that turn blitzes into 4-on-3s and switches into nail jumpers. In the third, when Kerr loves to blow games open, you toggle Steph off ball more often, run split action with Jimmy and a shooter while Murray reads the weak side stunt. Then choose between the elbow pull-up or the high-low to a duck-in bit. Both are ugly to guard. In crunch time, when both teams are out of cute stuff and living on execution, you run the elbow touch that's been in our bones for a decade. Steph's cut drags two, Jimmy's slice threatens the rim, and Murray lifts into space the defense can't cover without leaving a corner shooter naked. It's grown-up basketball, and it holds up in a 7-game series precisely because it doesn't depend on trickery. Now, the 3 standing objections that smart fans always raise, and I respect all 3. First, spacing. Murray's 3-ball has had stretches where it breathes harder than we'd like, and that's a real conversation. The counter is geometry and timing. Put Steph 1 pass away and defenders refuse to stunt. Put Jimmy in the slot and demand a violent 45 cut the moment a help foot drifts. Run split action with the intent to hit, not just be pretty. And the mid-range that analytics Twitter pretends to hate becomes the lever that opens the corner. Second, ball share. With 3 adult decision makers, does rhythm suffer? In our ecosystem, rhythm is earned by movement, not by monologue. Steph has never needed to hold the ball to be the loudest voice in a possession. Dre turns touches into advantages instead of detours. Jimmy loves to play off advantage and hit bodies. Murray reads before he dribbles, and that's the difference between a partner and a disruptor. Third, asset cost. Do you pay too much for the floor and regret the ceiling? That's where discipline and context collide. If the ask respects the band 1 real salary slot or a clean combination, one protected first, a swap, and absolutely no empty-the-chest nonsense, you pay to fix a habit that has cost you months of basketball. If the ask drifts into unprotected everything, plus your best young piece, you walk, and you walk with your head up, because saying no is as much a path to June as saying yes. Atlanta's side matters, and this is where I think the lane lives. They want clarity, not chaos. If they move a guard with pedigree, the return has to read like a plan to their own room, value that doesn't age out, a player who plays now, or draft capital that breathes later. A Warriors package that's disciplined can do that without robbing our identity. Responsible money out so the books stay alive. Responsible capital out so the future still has doors. Identity intact so the locker room smiles instead of squints. The next quiet tells to watch are always the same if you know what to listen for. Subtle rotation staggers that look more like preservation than showcase. Coach speak that softens from "we love our group" into "we'll do what's best for the program." And small cap housekeeping moves on our side that clear the matching slot without announcing intent. This is how deals sound before they are deals. Before I land the plane, I want you in the room with me because this channel has grown on honesty and detail, not empty takes. And the smartest part of this community is how specific you all get. Would you move a veteran's salary and a protected first with a swap for a 2-way guard who erases point of attack leaks and organizes the murky possessions without hijacking the ball? Would you draw the line at top 10 protection or staircase it by team success? Would you include a second young piece if the protections are ironclad? Or do you hardline youth and flex more in swap language? Put it in the comments right now with the clarity you'd want if you were in the room. and I'll pull the sharpest, cap-smart packages into our next upload. Because this conversation gets better when the smartest fans on the planet stress test it. My verdict, clean and professional, so you can clip it and call me on it later. Dejounte Murray to Golden State is a winning conversation if and only if the ask lives in that disciplined band. On the court, he stabilizes the exact stretch of basketball that has cost us too many Tuesdays, protects Steph's legs without stealing his air, gives Jimmy structure to land clean punches, and syncs perfectly with Dre's second-level reads. In the books, he's manageable if you match salary like adults and refuse to auction the future for a headline. If the price is a responsible outgoing slot, one real first with protections we can explain to ourselves, and a swap for flexibility. I'm a yes because that turns coin flips into wins and travels in May. If the ass balloons into unprotected everything, plus a blue-chip kid, I'm out because discipline is a championship skill too. That's where I stand tonight, and that's the straight talk I owe you. Now tell me where you land before we close, because your voice shapes where this channel goes next, and frankly, this fan base is at its best when it argues specifics with love for the game. And if you're here for this level of detail before rumor mills rinse and repeat the same 5 sentences, ride with me, subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report. Hit that like so more diehards see this in their feed. Turn on the alerts so you get the next update the second the lane widens or closes, and keep your seat. The phone buzz we're hearing isn't just noise. It's the sound of a team that knows exactly what it is, refusing to pretend it needs a savior when what it needs is a partner who loves the hard parts of winning as much as the loud parts.